Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Funny Guys Presents News Radio Rewatch. I almost forgot it there with Dr. John. This is episode 20. This time we'll be looking as we move into the halfway point of season 3, News Radio Christmas and the Trainer, or Trainer, depending on how you label the episode. So let's get into it. So we start with Christmas. This was originally written by Drake Sather and directed by Patrick Maloney. First time I think we actually have a new director on the board here. I guess Tom Sharones needed some time off to help edit some episodes. But this one aired on the 18th of December 1996. And in this one, the basic summary is Dave starts covering for all of his employees so they can leave early, but still manages to take Lisa to Wisconsin before Christmas is over. So we start at the conference table, and Dave literally is talking to everybody about wanting to leave early for Christmas, and guess what? He does. This is after Bill makes a dead grandma joke that's not funny. He actually is letting everybody go, and everybody immediately thinks that he just said that he wasn't letting them go. The lovely what do we call that? A misinterpretation? Whatever. The one condition he has for them is that they get their work done before they leave. Matthew has a Christmas surprise over at his desk, and apparently it's a model train with a little town in the middle, and it doesn't work when Joe turns it on, but apparently this was Joe trying to prank him, and he doesn't have the heart to do it. This is like his Merry Christmas gift to him. He was going to let Matthew put his tongue on the tracks to see what they were, if they were copper or not, and prank him, but he doesn't. But then it turns out Matthew wants to do it, and Joe shocks him at least twice. Come back, Dave is telling Lisa about their leaving to see his parents on Christmas in Wisconsin, has a plan. Lisa's nervous that she's going to freak out. She panics over freaking out right when Mr. James comes in looking for Matthew. He apparently needs him to help him pick out gifts for his rich friends who have everything. And so they start naming a couple. Bill Gates, Ball of String. Rupert Murdoch, Potter's Wheel. And Ted Turner, they're getting him a gold-plated hand puppet of a monkey, which apparently they got him last year, but this is another one so they can jibber jabber with each other. Bill's in the break room. He's making an audition tape for a commercial, and he starts asking the females in the office to help him with the female couple. They have to be a couple. And so he asks Catherine, no. Lisa, no. Beth does it for the money. He says Catherine would do it for 50. She says I'll do it for 49. And so they start talking the scripts. So our storylines here is storyline A, everyone guilts Dave into finishing the work for them. Storyline B, Matthew helps Mr. James pick out gifts. And storyline C is kind of like Bill and Beth's recording tape. And then kind of like a underlying, shall we say, A.1 is Dave and Lisa going to Wisconsin and the shrinking amount of time they'll get to spend with his parents. Catherine brings in her work saying she's done. She's not. And this is beginning of the little guilt trip. She pretends to call her mother and she's not going to make it. And Davis takes over for it and she bails. Mr. James comes back in with Matthew. Apparently they're going to get mittens for Bruce Springsteen. He's some sort of weird genius, apparently. Joe comes in, starts tearing down the office decorations, getting ahead of the depressing fact that when you come back, you'll see these. So he's just getting a head start. Bill tells Beth that they got the part, both of them, from the audition. She's nervous, and he has to convince her to go through with this. Beth then runs to Dave. She needs to leave for the audition. She hasn't finished the corporate Christmas cards. She guilts him into doing this too, which is interesting because this is continuing to cut down the amount of time he can actually be at his parents with Lisa, which is working for Lisa. Her and Bill then go off to a studio to do a recording. They do a take. Bill thinks the producer's going to be mad at Beth for this ad-lib she throws him. He actually loves it. We cut back to Dave. He's buried in everyone else's work. Lisa thinks that she's being saved from going to Wisconsin, and Dave says, no, I've actually got it, a new plan that will cut your time down with my parents to 8 hours. Bill and Beth are still doing a take, decide when the producer decides to bring in another person. He likes Beth, doesn't think Bill's right. And so Bill is disappointed. He's shocked that he's the problem, actually. They love Beth. Beth feels really bad, and she's going to have to work with this other guy, Roger, and she says she'll basically throw the auditions to help Bill. Joe comes in to talk to Dave. He wants to leave now. He's finished throwing away the food in the fridge. No. And defrosting it? Not yet. Dave decides that he too will finish this job. Tries to change his mind, but Joe is already gone. In fact, he's throwing the Christmas tree in the trash can already. We didn't get to see a montage of Beth's really bad takes as she continues to try and throw it, and a lot of it involves the gum in her mouth being used in really disgusting ways. Roger walks out, And then she sees Roger, Bill, and the producer up in the booth arguing and screaming at each other. We can't hear them, we just see them. Bill comes back in, and turns out Beth, he says, Beth, you just got to do this. Don't work with Roger. Don't let this be a thing. She's lost her voice. She can't finish the job. Dave finally passes all of his work that he had to do off on Matthew, who apparently likes being late because he doesn't want to stay in traffic trying to get to his aunt in Long Island. So he sits down. His condition is that he gets to sit down in Dave's chair behind his desk and pretend to be him. Mr. James comes in and realizes he hasn't got one more gift, and it's for Matthew, and he's using the helicopter to fly him out to Long Island to see his aunt, and it really ruins Dave's plan. But we find Lisa finds him. He's cleaning out the fridge. They're still going. Now they will be down to 45 minutes with his parents. In the production studio, we now see that Bill and Roger have done the promo together, and Bill is now, obviously with a dub over, playing the woman's part, and it's a wrap. Dave and Lisa then arrive at his parents' house, meet a strange new dog. No one's home, nobody being there. Dave calls his Aunt Marilyn. Apparently they're all spending Christmas at her house in Chicago. The surprise is ruined. They go in for a kiss, and apparently the taxi driver honked at them when they need to leave to go back to the airport. They take a Polaroid, leave it to surprise them, but the dog eats it. So, fun, simple storyline. I really, the main storyline being carried here really is the Dave being guilted into everybody's thing. But Matthew's impression of him behind the desk is also quite good. But let's move on. So now we have Trainer or The Trainer. This was written by Joe Furry, directed by Greg Hashong. This one aired the 19th of December, 1996, and we've got some guest stars. So Bill joins a gym, and the WNYX discover that Dave's got a secret past. And our guest stars are Ben Stiller and Patton Oswalt. That's great. Love to see these guys. Let's break this down. Ben Stiller is the manager of the gym. He's going by the name Vic, selling Bill on a gold membership for the gym. He's been a real salesman. And Matthew's there with him. Matthew's into it. Bill wants to know what the cost of this is, and Vic keeps trying to say no. He cuts it off 30%. 30% of what? It's this Ted Chambers gym. He gives them like free t-shirts. He even thinks that Bill is a shock jock. He is not. Bill is still hung up on wanting to know the price. They pull in Ted Chambers, who then offers to basically make Bill his special project to sell him, and finally convinces Bill to sign up. At the office, Beth is going through Dave's personal file. Apparently he's applying for credit at a new bank, and so she's helping organize his files. She stumbles upon his birth certificate. Meanwhile, Matthew shows up to help her. And what they basically apparently the condition is don't tell Dave. They then find out that he's Canadian. Meanwhile, Mr. James is in Dave's office with Dave and Lisa, and apparently he needs Dave to help him get his table manners and etiquette together because he's got to go to some fundraiser dinner with Bill Clinton. He's nervous. Part of the fundraiser, he's going to sit up on the dais, and he has terrible manners because he's cultivated this on purpose as part of a negotiation strategy. Apparently the big sell is when he eats baked beans with his hands. So Miss Dave now has to help Mr. James. So like I said, Matthew and Beth find out that Dave is Canadian. And so, meanwhile, they call Bill to look at Dave's birth certificate. He won't do this. He's on his way to his first training session, so they drag Catherine in the break room, and they're all shocked by it. It's like finding out he was an axe murderer. So storyline A is Dave's secret Canadian. Storyline B is Bill working out and training. And storyline C is Dave obviously helping Mr. James with his table etiquette. Bill arrives to be trained by Ted Chambers. He starts him on the bench press. Bill lays face down on the bench. He has no idea. Starts off with Chambers, but as he's doing the reps, all of a sudden he's replaced by Vic. Bill is very put out by this. And of course, Vic is still calling him a shock jock. Dave then now has set up a fake table on his desk for Mr. James using 10-day-old donuts. Ugh. Which apparently Bill comes in later to complain about the gym situation. He starts eating the donuts because apparently, if we think back to his sandwich thing with the sandwich machine, we've already think it reminds him of his mother. So his mother liked to leave things out for him to find days and weeks later. And so he leaves. Bill apparently wants a refund. They won't give it to him once out of the contract. And so he goes to take care of that. Matthew comes in to talk to Dave about searching. He's trying to pry into him secretly and to get him to admit he's Canadian. So he's asking about what goes into an eggs Benedict, and he can't remember a specific ingredient, which Dave tells him is Canadian bacon. He thinks that somehow this is confirmation. Meanwhile, Joe, Beth, and Catherine in the break room. Joe is mad at Dave for apparently not caring about hockey, and being that he's Canadian, apparently he's supposed to. Everyone's upset. Matthew comes in using the Canadian bacon reference as some sort of confirmation gotcha. It's not. They start acting like being Canadian is some sort of like awful deformity of disease, like he's a leper. They decide they have to tell Lisa, and Joe then makes a complaint about how his whole Midwest thing obviously is a phony. They bring Lisa in. She thinks Matthew is coming out as gay. They tell her about Dave. She's like, Dave's gay? No. They reveal he's Canadian. And she's not impressed. She thinks it's silly. But then she goes to confront Dave in his office with Mr. James. And she tries to almost get Dave to own up to being Canadian. He's like, you didn't tell me this. And he almost trips over saying the word about. About. And then does catch him on the word eh? Such fun stereotypes. Lisa and Dave talk. He claims he's not Canadian. He was born in Canada. His mother's Canadian, but he hasn't lived there since he was 5. Lisa thinks it's a big deal. He's been keeping this. Dave does not. He really does. Apparently, when at 5, Lisa was being diagnosed as reading at a 4th grade level. And Dave is still not sure why it's such a big deal. Dave goes back to helping Mr. James with the etiquette. Mr. James starts talking to him about being Canadian. Apparently, this is where he reveals he does care. It does bother him because he thought that the kids were going to think that he was a spy from Canada, that his family. This is what he thought kids in Wisconsin would think of him. And so he's made this a very personal childhood trauma. James kind of pities him. Back at the gym, Bill is demanding the money back from Vic, says he's quit the contract. There is no loophole, wants his money back. Vic then tries to play up the idea that Ted Chambers is running things and is a big scary guy. And Vic is not a puppet. No, he's really the puppeteer. This whole conversation where Vic then returns the idea of the shock jock, which will be resolved at the end because apparently they do reach a mutual compromise. Meanwhile, back at the conference table, Dave comes clean to everybody that he's Canadian. Bill speaks up about everybody coming from somewhere and then starts talking about things that Dave might know about American history, might not know. Apparently Matthew's from Venus, by the way. Turns out Dave does know all the information. Lisa asks, what's Bill's point? He's not sure, just that Dave knows a lot of Americana, which Joe now thinks is suspicious, and Dave gets upset saying, are you accusing me of being a spy? And runs back into his office. We do see Dave sees Mr. James off to his dinner. He's about to leave when the whole crew comes in to see him to apologize for reaction. Everyone starts admitting stealing office supplies to their boss. Lisa is the only one left. He apologized for not telling her. Joe and Bill are talking, and apparently he's still going to the gym because now he's a trainer. He's doing the same thing Ted Chambers does. He's making money. And his pupil is a young Patton Oswalt. Nice to see him. And they do the same routine where he starts him on the reps and then Vic comes in to take his place because he's going to get a massage. Mr. James, we see him at dinner with Bill Clinton and Mrs. Clinton, president. He drops his plate while he's on the dais. And in the end credits is a bunch of bloopers from the early scene with Phil Hartman and Andy Dick in the office with Ben Stiller, and they're just going over some of the goofy details. But this one is a lot of fun. I love the whole Canadian reference because Dave Foley really is Canadian, and it's just fun to see Ben Stiller and Patton Oswalt. But good episode. Next time we will have Rap and Led Zeppelin box set. However, in the meantime, please like, subscribe, share, comment, let us know, write us. You can write us in the description and in the ticker below, notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com. We want to hear from you guys. What do you like? What do you not like? What could we be doing differently? Do you want me to change up the format? I'm open to it. I keep experimenting with it, trying to see what works and what doesn't, but it works best if I get feedback from you. And of course, if you want to hype us, help promote us, help us grow. We are not currently a monetized channel. We are doing this purely for the sake of having fun and just grinding it out. And I'm watching these television shows because these are things I like. And of course, over here on the YouTube channel, speaking of which, we do television. But this is not our only Not Funny Guys product. So we have 3. We have our main podcast, Not Funny Guys Presents Off the Reels, where myself, Casey, and Eric are my fellow Not Funny Guys. We do movies. We're currently working our way through the Where are we? We're still in the Mission Impossibles. We're almost to the end. We're down to the last two. So you can check those out. We've got all the way through Fallout right now. So you can come check those out and take a look at those. I don't know what we'll be moving on to next, but you should check that out. If you want, that's not your cup of tea, but maybe you like wrestling and horror movies, I'll be a special guest over on the more recent episode. We're going to be talking about Sinners. So I'm joining my colleagues Casey and Eric over there, and that's Not Funny Guys Presents Wrestling with the Horror of It All. I'm not there for the wrestling segment, but I will be there for the horror movie segment. So Sinners is the thing, and that's just a great movie in general. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation. Come check that out. And if those are not your cup of tea, we do have one more. We have our Not Funny Guys Presents Thinking About Thinking with myself, Dr. John, and our Not Funny gal, Dr. Kristen, where we talk about politics, AI, culture, all kinds of things we're thinking about. So you should come check that out. I think we have an episode coming up about grief and how we latch onto these things. It's two academics having a fun time, just sort of rambling around pop culture, generally speaking, and scholarly stuff along the way. But you know how that is. In addition to all that, just please like, subscribe, share, comment. Helps us out. We greatly appreciate it. We love all you guys out there who are watching, listening, all that fun stuff. But come check out what we have to offer. Help us grow. And in the meantime, remember, keep it not funny. I'm serious. No funny. Just not funny.